Welcome to Military Faith and Spiritual Resilience. This is Elizabeth Fulgaro. With me today is Renee Hamilton-McNealy, soldier and artist. Renee, thank you for being here again today.
Yay, thank you.
We've been talking about leadership and how each person in their own way is a leader and the value of every human being and how important that is, how we see people and how we treat them. And I so appreciate your insights and your views. And there are also difficulties in life. And I know you've shared a little bit. Could you revisit the loss of your mom and share a little bit about how that impacted you and what, if in any way, that's influenced your leadership style in terms of what you went through during that period?
Well, thanks so much for that. So I just know I was in college taking classes. My mom was young, health concern there. And I saw her earlier that morning. We just got, news going to the hospital. She didn't, survive that moment. But what I think about it is I was also early in my career in junior in the Army Reserve, and we had an upcoming drill. It's called Battle Assembly now, but drill. And I just knew in my mind that I wasn't going to be able to go. I was not going to be able to go. And I reached out to a leader there and said, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it, requesting to be excused because I was shocked. I wasn't even beginning to grieve yet. It just felt like life stopped.
Was it like that same week, like very close to the time period where your mom had suddenly died?
Yes, it had to be within 2 weeks or something of that nature. It was shorter than a month. And I enjoyed going to our drill. And so I just was too broken versus requesting actual excusal. I remember just saying, I'm not going to be there. In my mind, it was said, I'm not able to do anything else. Life has stopped and paused. And I remember one of my leaders just stating, hey, sorry to hear that, if you just can come in. And at that time, I felt that they wanted me just still to work without realizing what I was dealing with. But to my surprise, I get there. This is when I, first learned more about the benefits of a chaplain when it's good. And the unit pretty much prayed for me, joined hands. And I was kind of surprised because, everybody have different walks, different faith. But at that time, they all came together and it was okay within that unit. And just me feeling supported and them connected me with different people, telling me about Army programs that could help me during this time. I just felt so supported and seen. So it was about 90 days later when 9/11 happened, and then, pulled out of school, called to active duty. It was about 16 days after we were, driving up to backfill our active duty unit. And two things happened. One, it felt like, what can be worse than this? We're a nation at war. I already lost my mom. I'm broken. Do people not see this? I don't know if my next breath will come. It felt like this was pretty much just it. But I also was able to truly learn what the Army family was about before we really even used that terminology. I felt that I would be supported when we mobilized and left our home to go to backfill for a regular Army unit, because they already showed me that they saw me and bad things can happen in life, and whether they're natural or not. I was, 20, then turned 21. It was difficult to experience. So what helped is that they knew I was very driven. I loved to learn. That's when it was more of, work 2 ranks above, challenge yourself, develop yourself, mentor, motivate others. And I was provided with opportunities that were really challenging, like the one I mentioned about taking care of finance at a battalion level when I was just E4. But what I saw is that they knew how to provide support to me through spiritual support, prayer, letting me know the programs that can benefit me, but also making me feel like I'm a part of the team. There we go again. And I'm valuable, and the knowledge I have, there's a place and room for it. And I will always remember those mentors. They show me what the Army family is about. True leadership, seeing the person beyond what their role and duty and expectation is, and then challenging them to be better and greater. I felt supported. And I think if I didn't have that kind of support initially, some other experiences that I have during that time, I probably wouldn't have processed them as best. Within any organization, you will have supportive people and you have people who are not as supportive. And by that, I mean leveraging authentic leadership, not abuse of power, being mindful of comments and words, especially if you're grieving. Yeah.
Okay, so you experienced both. You had this supportive, kind of like family that was praying for you and showing you resources. But then are you also saying that you experienced some of the abusive power? In other words, power leadership that was not really leadership.
Yes, and I do. That's why I said it's great for when leaders prepare themselves. Be aware that people are going to have tragic moments, and you may not have all the answers, but you have to understand how your communication, your language, the sensitivity of that can really make or break somebody. I'm very mentally resilient, and different things embedded in me from growing up really kept me strong. But maybe hearing the words of, I know you lost your mother, but you're going to have to get over it. That pierced a little deep. Well, it pierced very deep. And I would call was that moral injury maybe? Because for me, it made me feel like what I'm experiencing doesn't matter. And I remember asking that particular leader, hey, is your mom still here? And they said yes. And I had an exchange of words. And I was like, so how do you feel comfortable? I probably said it a little bit more disrespectfully, honestly. How do you feel comfortable making a comment like that? And you still have, I didn't just lose, I just did. And I felt like I had to put that on pause. And I did. I really moved forward in higher education and learning and challenging the heck out of myself and creating groups to mentor other people. I didn't want to keep myself busy. I wanted to grow through whatever I was experiencing. I'm kind of glad I did it. There were other options, other ways of reaction, but something within me was a bit strong and guided me to just focus on like the next day or the next class I'm going to take or the next run. But I think I felt pretty invisible during that time. So if there were senior folks around who maybe then just paused a bit. Oh, I realized something. I was actually waiting for somebody to ask me, how am I doing? And I realized later in life, I never needed anyone to ask me that for me to communicate that truth. And when someone finally did, it was an outpouring of all these other emotions and thoughts that were put away because I didn't get the green light. It was safe to express. But I always had that support of great leaders to go back to because, family grieved in their own unique ways. But cultures of organization shift. I'm grateful that it shifted in great ways to pride, taking care of people, and a holistic approach to leadership and wellness. But sometimes there could be times where people forget that we're all human and we're going to deal with things that we may need a pause or more support. And people can take advantage of that as well. So, yeah.
So it sounds like you had a real mixed bag of what you experienced while you were grieving for your mom.
Yeah.
A lot of both. So how did the different events that occurred that were negative during your time of grieving, especially within the Army organization, affect you? And how did they imprint your leadership style?
Oh, awesome. So having an experience where I really just I kind of broke down and communicated with someone. They were in a position of trust, and there were comments as far as who I reminded them of in their life, and it was honestly just inappropriate. And I communicated that to leadership, and I kind of distanced myself from people too, because I felt like, who's really going to believe me? I really shouldn't have felt that way. And how that infected me is that, I have to be really darn good at what I do so that if anyone tries to paint me out to be other than who I am and what I've done outweighs it. So that really pushed me in a certain way, but it also let me know that even though people are in a position of leadership, they may not always be someone you can really trust to the level of support that you need. So how that has affected me is that I may not be able to go to certain people if I'm having an issue or a conflict, but I'm still deserving of support. So I found that through my peers, we were able to really be there for one another. I think I've allowed myself to end up assuming a leadership role of responsibility in those spaces. I wanted to learn all that I can to get people the support, benefits, information that they need. And that kind of just continued on, because later when I realized so many were, hurt and injured from the war, I knew I wanted to work to support wounded warriors. And I was able to do that for about close to 5 years, being an advocate, reminding them that despite the bad experiences you had, whether it was unwelcome experiences or being injured, combat injuries, something about validating them in their space or allowing them room to communicate did a lot. And it just, whatever I experienced reminded me of what I'm not going to do. It reminded me of the power that they actually have to make a decision that could be really great. And so it motivated me to say, okay, even at this level, I may be a team leader just for 10 people, but this is what I can do for them. And I would think to myself, hey, I know so-and-so recently got married. Are you having a celebration? So I wanted to recognize that. Or, hey, I know, your husband was hurt when they deployed, and I don't know, was like trying to play counselor. But what I realized when I gave people room to speak, trust was established. And in that situation I mentioned before, I never had an opportunity for trust to be established because my experience was dismissed. And I would just say it was the perfect recipe for someone to really consider their next moments. It really was, because if you're dealing with grieving and you could deploy or not, you have a heavy weight of responsibility. There's people you should be able to trust, but you can't. After a while, it's like, okay, what's going on here? But there were shifts in my position and responsibilities that helped me for the better. I really feel like someone at the time understood what was going on, control what they can, and me choosing to thrive in excellence and help others along the way and help people grow as I grow is what moved me through it. I now reflect and I let myself be vulnerable and open and use those experiences to share with others so they can realize I'm human. They can realize no matter what happened, things can happen, and someone can say, oh, I hate my experience, I'm going to get out. That's valid, but I chose to not let people remove me from where I knew I was supposed to be.
Ooh.
Ouch, that just, woo. And I rose my hand to serve, and that career could have ended, who knows, 5-6 years in. But I had to remind myself, why am I here? What I have to do. And it's not if I wasn't here, I wouldn't be able to help the people I've been able to. But it feels good knowing that, oh, maybe I wouldn't have met so-and-so if I got out. Or maybe I wouldn't have had the opportunity to paint somebody like a Grinch. Maybe I wouldn't have had the opportunity to have a Halloween dress-up costume party for people. Or leverage unique leadership to let people bring their talents and skills to the table. I have to look back and say I'm happy I decided to dig deep and allow God to guide me to continue to serve despite obstacles. I can't let people take that away from me.
I think that's beautiful and brilliant that you stayed the course in spite of, because you knew why you were there. And it grew you in terms of what became important to you, in terms of how you treat other people and what you do for them.
Yeah.
What caused you to join the military?
Ooh, so I love challenges. I really do. I like self-created. I had academic and track scholarships, and many people thought, well, why are you going if you already had this? No, I didn't join to pay for anything. I had a older family member who was in the military. For me to see their experience, it became kind of interesting. But because I was told, you're Hamilton, you can do anything, I really believed that. And I was really athletic in the track, powerlifting, cheerleading. And I wanted that challenge. For me, this will be the most, in my mind, it'd be the most challenging thing physically, mentally, all of that. Why not? And I get to meet different people. I can remember the bumper sticker, the green one, like Be All You Can Be in the commercial. And yeah, they were great because I just remember seeing different people. And I wanted to meet new people. I wanted to shift my environment. When I was getting ready to graduate high school, I was ready for what's next. And the relationship, even a recruiter do their job to get people to join as they should. My recruiter, again, he saw within me. He was like, I know you're big into athletic and sports. You still can do that in the Army. I know you like working with different teams you'll meet. He addressed what I was looking for. And I did tell him, I'll wait because I want a bonus. I learned that there's bonuses. I joined a month after my friend and got a $3,000 bonus. So it's just the human relationship aspect, wanting the challenge, I was ready to be an adult and explore life and push myself to the limits. And I said, hey, I could go to college too. I didn't feel limited. And the Army shared the opportunities that can really help me create a life that I want to live, meet new people, experience new cultures. And then I feel like I'm going to be a soldier. That's kind of interesting. Are they going to change me? But I feel like I'm going to be the best version of myself and push myself beyond capacity. And I have no regrets.
Did it change you?
Yes. I think it helped me to show the soldier and leader that was already within and refine those skills in a way to help people of very different backgrounds. My family is quite diverse, so that was already there. But it's different when you can bring a team together despite any stressors or whatnot for a unified vision and values. I think it's pretty daggone powerful. And so just the structure and discipline and pride, a lot of that existed within from being raised, family background Jamaican, very proudful, not ethnocentric. That's the word, right? Ethno, not that, but very proud of culture. So it helped me to organize how I show up in life. And that's through striving to be excellent at what you do, working with a great team, taking pride in it, being accountable. I think those skills are what a lot of people, especially the youth, but a lot of people can really benefit from. And I'm glad I experienced it early in life because I've been able to have that same mentality in my art space. I'm going to clean it up. It's going to be nice. I'm licensed esthetician. I'm going to keep it clean and nice. But at the same time, there's the mindset goes to the accountability, the flow. How is this going to work? Who's going to be impacted? I have a broader view.
And this came through the military training?
Oh, yes. And no matter what you're working on, you really can kind of almost do whatever. There were times where I would feel tired. Like, I'm not going to be able to lift that log. The brain is like, it's not possible. But did I try? So I enjoy the mental and physical push. I think that really helped me with the grieving as well, because I told myself if I went through the toughest training or the hardest experience, and I'm still here. Hey, there's something within me, even greater than myself, that's pushed me along the way. Ooh, I have to trust it. And younger years, I wouldn't have been able to identify, even though I was raised in a religious home. But I realized that silent, I won't say silent voice, but that, I would say, I use the word energy a lot. My mom would say spirit. That was always there with me was pretty much God not forgetting about me.
So
Oh, God, that was
that's
a
so
lot.
beautiful. It's so beautiful. So you recognize that as you reflect, that he was always with you through all of it.
Yep. And I understand everyone have different religious views and backgrounds. Some don't. Some are more spiritual, whatever it is that keeps someone going within. Sticking to that or connecting with that is really awesome, because I realize it's like this external battery, like a solar battery that can recharge, and you kind of forget it's there because you don't have to really look for it, or it's not really physically tangible. But like through moments of stillness, or where I'm going on long runs, or where we're going on ruck marches, or me observing someone's story or life, and even my own, each time I revisit a story, I experience something different. I have to remember, oh, when I told him my Jeep Grand Cherokee going to a finance conference, and it spun and hit the median, roll off the highway in Tennessee, flipped 3 times.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think I wasn't supposed to be here. The power steering fluid thing was to the right. I hit the side of my head, a bloodshot left eye, fractured collarbone. I mean, in that moment, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it out of this. And people can call it what they want, but I remember clearly the whole experience, being alert. And I remember saying something like, oh, God save me, or God be with me, something like that. And I just felt the stillness. The vehicle was upside down, but it did slide and like stopped. And this little lady came out of nowhere, and oh, soldier, soldier. And to get out of the truck, oh, wow, this is awesome now. It's a different experience. To get out of the truck was a bit much because I had to slide out. I couldn't move because the damaged muscle, collarbone being fractured, I didn't know. My head was throbbing. I really thought my face was like bashed in, but I didn't care because I just knew I had to live to get beyond the moment. And as I started to slide out of the driver's window, I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this. I did not have the physical strength, and the pain level was the highest I've ever felt. But I think during that time, I was able to remember through the art of reflection. Oh, I've been through so much stuff. I remember what it was like losing my mom. I remember what this unwanted experience was like. I remember all of that. I'm going to have to get out of this truck. It may blow. And I just remember, I don't remember what I said or did, but I slid across it, glass scratching. It was probably the worst experience I've ever had. And when I got up, I remember I fell, but I could see the road. I'm at the underneath the road, like the road is above.
Yeah.
I don't know how that little lady, I don't know how, it was an angel, it was a real lady there. But anyways, by the time getting out of there, I looked back, a supervisor came to kind of meet me, and we went to look at the truck. And I looked at it like, whoa. And one guy said, yeah, you came out of here? 'Cause I was still in the passenger seat because I couldn't move. Yeah, you weren't supposed to be here. Oh, no. He's like, this should have blown. This should have hit here. Your airbag didn't deploy. I thought about suing. I didn't have the energy. But anyways, I'm still here. So I look at that to say, sometimes as a leader, I like to share certain stories, not to make it about myself. I get permission. I ask if it's okay. And I share how I thought I was not going to be here. It was the most traumatic thing. It was traumatic to ride in a vehicle ever again. And one of the first things I did was have a safety brief, a safety training on driving. But I did all that I could at the moment. And I like to remind people of how it's like compound resilience. I like that term, compound resilience. Yes, I experienced this then. Yes, I lost my mother. Yes, I was called to active duty. Oh, I totaled this truck. Oh, I hurt my knee 3 times. I was told I'll never be able to run again. But throughout it all, there was a mindset of resilience, God's grace, because everybody was like, yeah, you're not supposed to be here. And sometimes you just have to pause and appreciate it. So if I'm still here, there's work to be done. And the work doesn't have to always be laborsome. Sometimes the work is simply sharing our stories with other people and giving them room to do the same, because there's so many like hidden gems in it. And my approach to leadership is making time to remind people they're valuable, to learn from their own stories and experiences, and roll up your sleeves, and when you're ready, get back to work, because the inner work is just as important as the outer work. And when we don't spend time to go within, you'll start to feel invaluable, because if you don't see yourself, how is anybody else going to be able to do so? Yeah.
Thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing all that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can we continue the conversation?
Sounds great. Yeah.
Thank you.